This car is due to be put up for sale soon, but before it gets sold, I need to make sure that it's clean and it's been perhaps beautified if I can. I want to do what I can to make sure that it's going to look really nice for when someone comes to view it. Obviously, people want to buy cars which are clean and they look like they've been cared for. This certainly has. I've applied many different protection products for the time that I've owned it, but it's been sitting for a while now. It's been in a garage, getting a few things done to it. It's now a bit dusty and dirty, and I really just want to make sure that it's perfectly clean and perhaps as shiny as I can get it afterwards. Look after the plastic trim, the rubber, the wheels. I want to make everything look really good. So today I'm going to be doing that with a variety of different products. I'll show you what I'm using, why I'm using it, and how it works as I go through each stage of the cleaning and beautification of this car. So let's get started. Now the first step in any wash process is to pre-rinse the car, rinse it down of any loose dirt and debris. Now I'm going to be using my pressure washer for that because I want the pressure of the water to push off any of that loose dirt and debris. Also, the water is going to help soak some of the dirt that's on there which wouldn't normally come off where it's just still sitting dry. I've also got an interesting tool to show you here. I picked this up on eBay. This, I've adapted, for anyone who doesn't know, I've adapted my Nilfisk to this quick release system. It runs into where the normal lance would go, so I can change nozzles very quickly. Now what I've got here is something which also attaches to that. This is a nozzle adapter, so there's the quick release nozzle. And, let's get that back in. What it does is it adjusts, it twists 45 degrees in either direction. Obviously I can then twist it round as well, so I can have it going pointing up, I can have it pointing down, wherever I want. The nice thing about this is if I'm working perhaps sections which would normally require me to bend down really far and spray the gun upwards, I can now have this pointing upwards as I'm, down lower to the ground, spraying under places like wheel arches, upwards into the wheels, into the wheel wells, the wheel arches. Also when I'm spraying across the top of the car, I don't have to really reach up high to get down. I can spray downwards with that. It's a very, very useful device there. It cost me about £10 on eBay. Very useful thing. Anyway, let's get cracking on the rinse, the pressure rinse here, if I can. There we go. So already the car's looking a damn sight better. One thing I should point out about this little angled device here. When you're using it, be very careful, because Newton's third law definitely applies. Because it sprays out so hard in that one direction, it wants to push back in the other direction. Normally you wouldn't feel it that much when you're spraying that way because it's pushing back at you, but you're already holding it this way. But as soon as you turn it, it really just wants to take off. Be very careful if you're going to get one of these. Anyway, the wheels are looking particularly awful, especially the front wheels. They look hellish. So that's the next thing I'm going to do now. They've already had a rinse off, but I need to attack those wheels and get them cleaned up properly. So let's move on to that step now. Alright, this wheel is particularly bad. I don't know how it's happened to look so bad. Anyway, it's been rinsed off, but it still needs a good clean. So I've got a couple of products along with a selection of brushes to use here today. So for the wheel cleaner, excuse me, I'm using G3 Professional Wheel Cleaner. Now this one is like many others on the market nowadays. It's becoming a popular thing. It contains iron fallout removers as part of it. They don't state iron fallout, but what they do say is there's a color changing technology which activates when brake dust is present. It's not brake dust that changes color, it's the iron fallout. You can definitely smell it. It has that rotten egg smell about it. However, the nice thing about this one is it has one of these adjustable nozzles, you know, so you can twist it to get more of a jet or more of a fan. So I've set it up to have more of a fan, and it's meant to be a high cling wheel cleaner. So it's meant to stick to the wheels for longer and increase the dwelling time, which is meant to help it stick to the wheels and start to break down that dirt and dust and hopefully iron fallout as well. But you can definitely, I can definitely smell that iron fallout, eggy, familiar eggy smell. Now while that's dwelling for a minute, I have a bucket here with water. I've also put into that bucket some Garage Therapy 1 wheel shampoo, and that's simply to help the tools that I've got. I've got this bucket full of tools, which I'll show you what I'm using in each one. But that means that the tools are not going to be used dry, they're going to have something on them. Also the wheel shampoo is a very slick shampoo, so that's also good for the tools. Have a bit of lubrication in the tools. So we'll just let this dwell for a few minutes longer. I'm not seeing any reaction with the wheels yet. That's not really, I wasn't really expecting to see much because this car hasn't driven that many miles recently. So we'll let this dwell for just a minute longer and then I'll grab the tools. Okay, so that's had a minute to dwell, and now I'm going to grab this. This is a barrel brush. It's been soaking in the one wheel shampoo stuff there. So let's just get into the barrels. Alright, so I don't know if you could see that, but there's some purple within that foam. I saw some of it coming out. So there is an iron fallout reaction happening here, which is good. That's what I want to see. It's certainly attacking something within the wheels there. So we'll move on to the next tool, which is this, which is a narrower spoke brush, and that's to work the sides, the edges of the spokes here. Alright, now that's the sides of the spokes done. We need to get the face of the wheel cleaned. That's where I use one of my favourite brushes. This is the Vikan wheel brush. It has this lovely rubberized edge around here, so it won't scratch or mark your wheels. Nice flocked bristles. This is a superb brush. Great for the faces of your wheels.
And finally, I've got a couple of brushes here. This is a very stiff bristled brush. This is to get into the wheel nuts. Now, let's rinse this off and see how it looks. So now, that wheel is looking much better than when we first started. Most of the dirt and the grime is gone. Also, the wheel cleaner helped to remove some of the fallout, which is great. So, looking much better. The last thing I need to do now is to wipe down the tires, clean the tires. I've got this, it's a Chemical Guys branded brush, but they come under many different names. This is a great tire scrubbing brush, this. And I'm just going to use the one wheel shampoo to work as my detergent to clean off the tires, to remove any grime and get the tires ready for when I eventually dress them. Alright, so that's done for this wheel. I'm not going to bore you with the other 3 wheels. I'll get cracking on those and I'll come back to you after. Now the wheels are looking much better. They've all had a good proper clean, looking fantastic now. So I want to wash the car, but before that I want to carry out a pre-wash. That is, well, the pre-rinse was part of it to knock off any loose dirt and contaminants there. However, I want to now use a chemical product to eat at some of the dirt which is not willing to be removed with the water alone. So I've got my snow foam lance here, and for this I'm going to be using Valet Pro Combo 2 snow foam. This is a high alkaline snow foam product. It is designed to be much more aggressive than your average snow foam. So I'm going to use this. I will follow the directions on the back, which is, I can't even see it, 300 milliliters of product to 700 milliliters of water. That's relatively strong, but it's also a strong product. So I'm going to coat the whole car in this, let it dwell, then rinse it off, and we'll get on to the contact wash. So that's the pre-washing, the snow foaming done. Really thick snow foam that. So I've dumped the entire lot on there. I let it dwell for as long as I could, but because the sun is out I don't want it to dry. So I've rinsed it off. I rinsed it off at pressure. I did it from the bottom up because that way I knew where I had done and where I hadn't, and then rinsed everything else from the top down after. So it's looking quite good, but I need to scrub that paint. I need to really get in there and wash it properly with a contact wash. For that I'm using Garage Therapy Zero Decon shampoo. It's already in this bucket now. It's 65 milliliters of the shampoo into 5 gallons of water. It's a nice slick feeling shampoo, but at the same time it's potent. This is an alkaline based shampoo as well, so it's designed to break down old waxes and sealants, of which there were many on this car. So it's trying to remove those. I'm also using one of these wash mitts. This is a Valet Pro branded one, but there are many different kinds which are it's exactly the same as this, different names, pretty much the same thing as far as I know. So I'm going to be using this I'm going to be following a safe wash process, which means I'm going to be dunking it after every panel into a bucket of clean water to rinse it out, to get rid of any grit or dirt that this has picked up. Get rid of that, then go back in for some fresh suds, fresh soap, fresh shampoo. So that's how to do that. I did make a video about that, which you'll be able to find up here. So time to get cracking with the wash. Alright, so now the car has been washed with a pre-wash and a contact wash. It's as clean as I can get it for the moment, but there's still more stuff on the paint there. That's where the decontamination process comes in. The first step for me is tar, and I'm using AM tar from AM Details. I'm going to spray this onto panels where I can see tar spots. I'm also going to be using this cloth. I'll spray it on there as well, and this will be what's going to actually lift the tar off. This will do the dissolving, and this will lift off those tar deposits. I'll bring you in close so you can see what I'm talking about. So now the tar has been removed, it's time to move on to the iron fallout stage. So for that I'm using AutoGlym Magma. Get it out of the sun there. This is an iron fallout remover. Now, iron fallout is not as easy to see as the tar spots. It's much smaller, and unless you go really close to your paint with a microscope, you probably won't see it at all. So the idea with this is simply spray on liberally, and if you see any of this reddish purple streaking, that's when you know that this is doing its thing. It's found some iron fallout, it's dissolving the iron oxide around it, which is holding it against the paint, therefore loosening it, and then all you have to do after that is rinse it off with your pressure washer, and that will knock off all of those little pieces of iron fallout. So I'm going to go and start spraying this one side of the car at a time. And also, because this is a dedicated fallout remover, you can use this on your wheels. I know the wheel cleaner I had earlier had some of this within it, but this is a dedicated fallout remover, so you may as well spray it onto your wheels. You may find that there's going to be more coming off. There may be nothing, but it doesn't hurt to try. I'm going to bring you in close because I found some. Let's see if we can see it on my tiny screen. There you go. There is some indication that there's some fallout on the paint. You can see quite a few little marks on there. So let's move this section up here. You can see it there. All these little specks. Let's go across. There's... Nope, that's a dead fly. But right along there, you can see all these little marks. That's all iron fallout contamination being dissolved, or at least the iron oxide is being dissolved. Look at this on the wing mirror there. Didn't see any of that when I was washing it. You just can't see it, but you can definitely see the difference there. Is there any more? There's plenty on the door here, and some bigger streaks here. There's obviously been a larger amount there, and it is right across the side of the car. I know it's hard to see in the sunlight, but it is right across there. Now I don't want this to dry on the paint, so I need to move quickly now and rinse this off. Let's just go by hand here.
Let's have a quick look at the wheels here as well. And there is some down in there in the barrels, which is expected, some on the edges of the wheels. Alright, I think I picked the wrong day to make this video because the wind is just getting worse and worse. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. So, where were we? We've finished removing all the iron fallout from the car. There was more than I expected actually, considering this car has been relatively well looked after. It may be that it was sat in a garage for a while, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, that's all gone, there's no more iron fallout left on the car, but there may be some other contaminants left over which cannot be removed through the chemical process only, so that's where we're going to go into the clay step. Now you could use a clay bar, but my preference nowadays is a clay mitt. This is the G3 Pro Deep Clean Clay Mitt. It's much faster to use. That's why I like to use it. Now as far as a clay lubricant is concerned, although they recommend using their detailing spray, I find that detailing sprays have stuff in them which is left behind, which you may then want to take off if you're going to be adding protection to it. I like to have a completely clean panel. That's why I've used Optimum No Rinse. Now this is a waterless wash product, but you can dilute it 64 parts water to 1 part of this to make up a clay lubricant, and it means it doesn't leave anything behind. So that's what I've got in this bottle here. I'm going to be using this as the lube for the clay mitt, and I'm going to be stopping regularly and rinsing this off to remove any contaminants that it may have picked up before moving on to the next section. I also have to keep rinsing the car right now because with all the wind there's loads of debris in the air from the trees nearby, insects keep landing on it for a drink, it's crazy. So keep with me, I'm going to try and get through this as best I can. The other nice thing about clay is that you can use it on your glass. If there's anything sticking to your glass, well, this has already been washed anyway, so this might pick up other things on your glass that you didn't realize were still there. So we can do the same thing here. There you have it, that's the clay process done really fast. Only took me about 15 minutes to do the entire car. And the ONR as a clay lube actually worked a lot better than I thought. It looked really thin and runny, but actually it provided good lubrication. So great job. Now it's time to dry the car and then think about beautifying it with some sort of polish. So the first thing I'm going to dry the car, let me just grab this. I'm going to use this. This is a twisted loop towel. If you can, I don't know if you can see the twists in them, but these fibers are twisted. Oh, look, there you go. This is this towel is called the Huster from Autobrite Direct. It's a single-sided drying towel. It's a good size. Picked this up at Waxstock, but it's a magnet for water. It just sucks water up. So before I can polish this car, I need to make sure that all of the water is off the car.
Before I carry on with the rest of the drying, I just remembered I want to protect these wheels. I want to add something which will help to repel water and help to hopefully repel dirt as well. Keep the wheels looking good. So I've just wet them down because I'm going to be using this. This is, get it in focus there, Turtle Wax Dry and Shine Rinse Wax. It's a spray-on, rinse-off product, and I tested it before. I really liked it. And I use this mostly for wheels and glass, because it works really well on the side windows and on the wheels. So just make sure that's switched on. Just a quick spray across a wet wheel. It's a very atomized product, which is why I like it so much. It sprays really well. And then just rinse it off with a good strong stream of water, and that will protect the wheels. And there you have it. Now, I bring you really close, like this. You can see that the water is now beading. Let's get a spray on there. The water just beads as if it were waxed. So that's what we're looking for on all of the wheels. Whoop, wrong way. That's going to go and crack on and do that on the rest of the wheels, and they will hopefully stay looking nice and shiny. Now, in order to improve the look of the paint, I want to give it a good polish, but I don't really want to spend forever, all day, hand polishing it. So I've got my machine polisher here with a soft polishing pad, and I'm also using Finesse Tripple. Now, this is an all-in-one polish, so it's got a very light cut to it, but it's very, very light, mostly for oxidation. But it also contains some fillers and a bit of wax as well, so there's a bit of protection. I'm not relying on the wax for this. I will add another wax on top, but in the meantime this is going to help improve the look of the paint, give it some shine and some gloss, and perhaps remove any oxidation that may be sitting on the paint there. So give it a really good shake up. To be honest, I've only tried this 1 or 2 times already, just by hand. It was nice to use by hand, but they say that it's perfectly usable via a polisher as well. So, give it a good amount there to prime the pad. Just spread it out a bit there. And make sure it's been spread onto the pad. And then we'll give it just a little bit more to actually use. Now, and let's crank it up. And that's really nice, glossy, shiny. So I'll carry on with the rest of the car now. Now, as you can see, the car is looking much better. I have polished the whole car. For the sections that I couldn't fit the polisher into, I did those by hand. I wasn't trying to remove scratches and swirls and defects and things like that. it was just an exercise in adding gloss and shine, and that's certainly what
Auto Finesse Tripple does. So that is now across every panel on the car. It's looking great, and I want to add some protection to this. Now I am going to do something with the plastics and rubber later, but right now I want to lay down some wax. So for today's product of choice for applying a protection product to the car, like I said, in the Auto Finesse Tripple, there's already some wax in there, but it's not much. It's not what I would rely on as my only protection product. I want to add a wax on top of that, just because I like waxes. They're just enjoyable to use. And speaking of enjoyable to use, I'm going to be using this. This is Poorboys World Nattys Paste Wax. This is the red one. Smells like apparently wild strawberry, and it is the nicest smelling wax I have ever come across. So I've lightly dampened my microfiber applicator, and I'm going to go ahead and start laying down a thin film of wax onto the bonnet. So now the car is waxed fully. It now smells like a punnet of strawberries. It's so shiny and glossy. It just drips with gloss, and yet there are still these bloody insects keep jumping all over it and just ruining the look of my car. But there you go, there's my reflection. Hello. So, just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But we're not done yet. Oh no. Now, let's set up right here. This is a good place for it. Now, I need to address something that might give away its age, and that's the black plastics and rubber trim. Now, I'm going to use a product I've shown you before. This is Infinity Wax Rubber Wax, although it's now called Rubber and Plastic Wax. And it's a fantastic product. Being that it's wax based, it only goes where you want it to go. It doesn't go anywhere else, which is fantastic. It's a very soft wax. I love it. So I'm going to use this to improve, turn this around so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use this to improve the looks, to darken the plastics, to give them some water repellency as well, which would be nice. So let's just get cracking with this. And the very last thing I want to do is to dress the tires. Now that everything else is dressed, the tires will just finish this car off nicely. For this,
Turn this around again so I can see I'm using Meguiars Endurance Tire Gel. As you can see, I've had this for ages and I've never bothered using it. I've never tried it. I've just never had the opportunity. I've tried so many different things. So I'm going to use this with a synthetic detailing brush, relatively stiff bristled, to help me apply it around the tires. Although it would help if I took this off. I actually don't like the application with the brush. I think I'll swap for a microfiber applicator and see if that works better. It's either the brush or the gel, but one of them doesn't like doing this. It doesn't like the spread. It's really thick stuff. Interesting. All right, let's change things up a bit. That's better. That's far more even, less, what was the word? Slimy compared to before. Just a small amount. Put it where you want. That's much better. I do like a shiny tire, but before it was just a bit awful. Let's carry on with the other three. This is not a 5-wheeled car. So that's the job done. The car has been washed, it has been decontaminated, it's been polished and waxed, and now it's looking absolutely fabulous. It is glossy, it's shiny, I can't see because the sun's in my eyes. I think that car is now looking brilliant, and I really hope that someone looks at pictures of this car and says, hey, that's for me. However, I'm going to have to drive it now for a week because my other car, which I bought to replace this with, has gone a bit broken. So now I need to drive this for probably a week while the other one gets fixed, and then I can sell this. Although that'll be interesting because it's now got protection on it, which means it should be easier to keep clean and keep looking nice. And I'll use a range of maintenance products to keep that shine and gloss going, keep that protection going. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, please go ahead and give it a like. If you are interested, perhaps you would like to subscribe to the channel. If you do, please make sure you ring the notification bell so you don't miss my next video upload. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I've been Specky, and I'll see you in the next video.